You see, there is this new brand of democracy that we are gradually allowing into our country that most people are not even paying attention to.
Yeah, maybe one.
And I want to bring my observations to you in this video.
Continue.
And to start with, let me take your mind back to something.
Okay.
If you can remember, in January of 2012, during the government of President Goodluck Jonathan, there was a protest in the country against the subsidy removal policy by the president.
Yes.
And a few days into that protest, the policy was reversed.
You get it?
Now, the president did not reverse his decision because he no longer believed in his policies. But he had to reverse that decision because his people had spoken and he needed to listen. Because for a democracy to still be a democracy, the will of the people must form the basis for every government policy. Some people then believed that Goodluck Jonathan was too weak to be a president because he couldn't stand his ground.
Hell.
The same narrative some people are pushing about Peter Obi now.
Funny people.
And these people forget that sometimes as a leader, you need to appear weak for your people to feel strong.
We must learn a lesson.
And you don't even need to be as strong as Hitler before you can be a president. The only thing a country needs is a very strong institution, not even a very strong president. Once you have a strong institution, the next thing you need is somebody with a heart and a vision to lead the country. If I'm not in any way trying to say that Goodluck Jonathan was a perfect president, please don't get me wrong, but I'm trying to drive at something, so follow me closely.
Okay.
Even recently, Kenyan people had to do a protest that forced their president to reverse some of his tax policies. The reversing of this policy was not due to weakness, but due to the fact that democracy can only stand when government policies are built around the will of the people.
We must learn a lesson.
But now, if you observe the type of leadership we have in this country in the past couple of years, especially in the last 2 years, you are going to see a very disturbing trend.
Yeah, maybe one.
Now, to start with, the first policy by this new administration was the removal of fuel subsidy right from the inauguration ground.
Hey!
And that announcement threw the whole country into pandemonium.
I want problems.
People protested. Labor unions threatened to shut down the country.
Hell.
Experts warned that the decision was coming too sudden, that the president needed to at least enter office and sit down and review the situation on ground, look into the books, at least set up his cabinet and come up with a plan to implement the policy gradually so that there will not be a hyperinflation that will drive many people below the poverty line.
You get it?
But the government insisted that subsidy was gone.
Dissolve.
That it is either we accept the policy as a country or we all perish.
God have mercy
And at
upon
the end of the day, the policy stood, and up till today, we have not recovered from that hyperinflation caused by that pronouncement. In fact, the inflation was so massive that as of today in Nigeria, if you are earning 150,000 a month, you are no longer part of the middle class. You are now poor.
Let's be poor.
Now, last year, October, there was a protest in the country, End Bad Government protest. And the demand of the protesters was a review of the petrol price and for the government to intervene and bring down the rising cost of living.
Wonders.
Now, how did the government react to this protest? Some people were recruited to come and do a protest against the protest.
What?
And at the end of the 10 days protest, nothing happened. The cost of fuel and the cost of living remained on the rise.
This is wickedness.
Now, some time ago, this same government awarded a contract of 1.3 trillion for the construction of Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. And a lot of people raised eyebrow, concerning the cost of that project. In a country that you say we don't have money, 1.3 trillion, how did we arrive at the figure?
You don't know.
And to make matters worse, there was this, talk that the project was awarded to a company owned by a man who is a close friend to the man on top, allegedly. In fact, even the former president of Nigeria came out to say that the contract was wasteful and corrupt. And why Nigerians were demanding for more clarity, the modalities surrounding the awarding of such a massive contract, the only reaction we got was the government telling us that anybody who is against the project, once the project is completed, the person should not drive on the road. And as if that was not enough, while we are still trying to review what happened with this project, the federal government awarded another contract to a company owned by the same person in the tune of $700 million for the renovation of Tin Can and Apapa Port in Lagos.
That is not corruption.
Now, finally, the president announced a state of emergency in Rivers State and suspended the governor, which threw the country into another round of pandemonium. In fact, 95% of the population believe that the president doesn't have the constitutional right to remove an elected governor. A lot of people even told the sole administrator that he should reject the appointment, that it is illegal.
Photo.
But as I am talking to you now, the sole administrator have just completed his 1 week in office. And it doesn't look like he is going anywhere.
We don't know why it's going
Now,
on.
have you understood the source of my concerns? Have you understood my worries? Like I kept saying, democracy can only be democracy when government policies is built around the will of the people. But now, when you now have a type of democracy where the government or the people in power are no longer afraid of people's protest or reaction, then you are in trouble.
Hey!
But let me mind my business. What do I do?
Hey, Jesus!
I think